All right, guys. Next up from Genprex, we have Rodney Varner, president, co-founder, and the CEO. Can we have Rodney on the screen, please? Hey, Rodney.
Hi.
How are you?
Today? I'm great. And you?
I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for asking. For the folks that are not familiar with Genprex, of which I'm sure there's a small group, would you mind giving a brief introduction to your organization and what you do?
Sure. Well, again, I'm Rodney Varner, CEO and a co-founder. Genprex is developing gene therapies for cancer and diabetes. We're addressing some of the largest markets there are in medicine, lung cancer and both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Our lung cancer program is much more advanced. We've been working on it for more than a decade, and we've got 2 phase 1/2 trials upcoming.
Fantastic. All right. So guys, gene therapy, keep your eyes peeled. For the presentation, I believe that Chelsea will be our producer. So Rodney, you can go ahead and take it away, and just whenever you want to switch aside, just say next.
Okay, great. Okay, well, again, at Genprex, we're reprogramming the course of cancer and diabetes using gene therapies. Next slide. I commend you all to read the forward-looking statement slide. I know you see them with every presentation, but they are important, and I hope you do read them. By the way, this deck, actually an expanded version of this deck, is available on the Genprex webpage for those who want to look more closely. It's got quite a few more slides and more detail than what I'm going to be able to go over today, particularly with the time constraints that we have. Next slide. This is information you can get on your trading platform, but basically the most important points on it are the trading symbol, GNPX, and I think our volume. We have a very healthy trading volume. Like many other biotechs, our stock has been down the last few weeks. I see we're having a good day today. But very importantly, I think for our company our size, we have a very strong cash position. If you see on the right side, we have 47 million of cash and no debt other than trade payables. Next slide. I'm going to spend the bulk of my time on this slide, actually. These are points that we believe are important that you should consider if you're looking at Genprex. First, we have a gene therapy platform. It's built around a non-viral nanoparticle delivery system. This is for our oncology program. We have a series of genes that are in-licensed, and we have this non-viral nanoparticle delivery system that can deliver any of a number of these genes and possibly other genes to a wide range of different types of cancer. It also can be combined with other approved cancer drugs, such as 2 of the largest selling lung cancer drugs that I'm about to tell you about. But it's not limited to those 2. We can combine with a large number of drugs and potentially improve the benefits of those drugs to patients. And it can be applied to a wide range of cancers, not just lung cancer, even though lung cancer is a huge market in itself. So we are addressing large markets and unmet needs, and I mean really large markets and unmet needs. Lung cancer is, the market for lung cancer therapeutics exceeds $20 billion a year, and our initial development program is to combine our gene therapy with 2 of the largest selling drugs. One of them is Tagrisso by AstraZeneca. It had sales last year of about $4 billion. And we have an FDA Fast Track Designation for the combination of our gene therapy, REQORSA, with Tagrisso. That essentially we believe will allow us to participate in that very large market. Additionally, we have strong preclinical data from our academic researchers that shows that our gene therapy is synergistic with Keytruda. which is Merck's largest selling drug. It had sales of over $14 billion last year. And let me note that we're not attempting to take market share from anyone. Our program is to combine with those drugs, improve their benefits, and participate in those massive markets. Again, we have the FDA Fast Track Designation. In order to get such a designation, a company has to demonstrate to the FDA that its drug has the potential to be an improvement over existing therapies in a particular patient population with unmet needs and a serious disease. We're gratified that we were able to satisfy the FDA on that for REQORSA combined with Tagrisso. Now, we have demonstrated clinical achievement here. This is not just theoretical. We've done 2 prior clinical trials. We've treated over 50 patients with REQORSA, and we've shown strong evidence of efficacy and a very favorable safety profile related in relation to other lung cancer drugs. We have world-class academic partners, MD Anderson in Houston and the University of Pittsburgh for our diabetes program. I haven't mentioned our diabetes program up until now, and let me touch on that as well. It's a different type of gene therapy than our oncology gene therapy. It was developed at the University of Pittsburgh, and research is ongoing now in that technology, and it addresses both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. About 10% of the population of the United States, or 34 million people, have diabetes, and of course there are similar numbers around the world. So it is also a truly massive market. This diabetes gene therapy, according to the researchers at the University of Pittsburgh, has the potential to reduce or eliminate the need for insulin treatment for diabetics. And of course, that would be huge. The University of Pittsburgh recently received a $2.6 million NIH grant to pursue that technology in primates, that is apes, and that research is ongoing now. We view that NIH grant also as important validation of the technology, because those grants are heavily peer-reviewed and competitive to receive. And so we're gratified that the University of Pittsburgh received that. Also, just last month, we were awarded, along with Dr. George Giddies of the University of Pittsburgh, the University's Award for License of the Year for this technology and our work with the university in developing it. We're proud to receive that because the University of Pittsburgh is a very distinguished medical research institution with many excellent technologies coming out of it, and we were really pleased to receive that. I believe that you can see information on that award on the university's webpage as well as ours. We have an expanding technology pipeline, as evidenced by the in-license of the diabetes therapy last year. We're also reviewing additional technologies for in-license and also developing additional technologies within our company. We haven't announced those yet. We're not far enough along that we think they should be made public, but we're doing that on a regular basis. And then, as I mentioned, we have a strong balance sheet. You saw the cash number earlier, and again, no debt other than trade payables. So we're well positioned to advance our programs over the next few years. Next slide. This is our R&D pipeline. Again, we have the 2 clinical trials that I've mentioned, ACCLAIM-1 and ACCLAIM-2. The one with the star on it is the one with our Fast Track Designation, FDA Fast Track Designation. ACCLAIM-2 is the one with REQORSA plus Keytruda. The next 2 are the prior trials that we did. We did a phase 1 trial with our gene therapy alone as a monotherapy. We did a phase 1/2 trial with our gene therapy combined with Tarceva, which is a prior generation EGFR inhibitor of the same class of drug as Tagrisso, but just an earlier version. In earlier years, it was the largest selling of that category of drug, but Tagrisso has overtaken that in the United States, and thus our change to Tagrisso. And we have these discovery programs that I mentioned before. And then finally, we have the diabetes program, which is preclinical at the University of Pittsburgh. Next slide, please. Next slide. I'm skipping some of these in the interest of time. Next slide. Just a few more words on the non-small cell lung cancer market. Again, it's a truly huge market. Lung cancer is the second most common form of cancer, and it kills more people than any other form of cancer. Over 2 million cases a year worldwide, 235,000 a year in the United States, and 84% of those are non-small cell lung cancer, which we're targeting. Again, sales of Tagrisso, which we're combining with, $4 billion a year, Keytruda, $14 billion a year, global market over $26 billion. So, and again, by combining with these already selling drugs and improving their benefit, we could participate in these very large markets that are already created by these other drugs. And we're not taking market share away from them. We're supplementing the benefit of those drugs, which we believe would increase their sales along with ours. Next slide. This is an illustration of our platform. As I mentioned, we have multiple genes under license. These are therapeutic genes against cancer. We have multiple drug synergies. The researchers have shown that our gene therapy can be combined with and improve the benefit of a wide range of other cancer drugs, including the two that I've just told you about. And we can address multiple cancers. Researchers have identified a number, more than a half dozen already, other cancers that our gene therapy might address. These are researchers both that we're working with at our academic institutions and also researchers at other unrelated institutions. Next slide, please. This is an illustration of our nanoparticle delivery system. This is really unique and I think quite interesting. Most gene therapies are delivered with a virus. That is, a virus is hollowed out. Genetic DNA is inserted into the virus, and that's used to carry the gene into tumors. Those have limitations in that they can cause immune responses and unwanted side effects. And also, in many cases, they have to be injected directly into a tumor. Thus, they're limited to tumors that can be identified and reached with a needle. This nanoparticle delivery system does not use viruses. The DNA is encapsulated within a lipid nanoparticle. It's put into a liquid solution and injected by IV, a fairly standard 30-minute IV, and the nanoparticles are carried throughout the body where they attach to tumors wherever they're found. Metastatic tumors wherever they might be, so they don't have to even be identified, and they don't need to be reached with a needle. So this is very important, and to our knowledge, we're the only ones doing this in cancer, and certainly we're the only ones who have treated patients with it. Next slide, please. Next slide. It's important to note that our gene therapy, which is branded REQORSA, we actually have the FDA approval of the REQORSA trade name. It modulates the immune system, and that's why we call it an immunogene therapy. Next slide. Next slide. And next slide. I'm not going to get into the details of the slide, obviously, due to time limitations, but it's important to note that data produced by our academic researchers show that our gene therapy plus Tagrisso reduces tumor growth in Tagrisso-resistant tumors. And what happens with Tagrisso and other cancer drugs is that patients receive them, they benefit from them for some period of time, and then they become resistant. In the case of Tagrisso, nearly 100% become resistant. And our Fast Track designation targets those who become resistant. We combine REQORSA with Tagrisso, and research shows that we can reduce tumor growth even after these patients have become resistant. Next slide. This is the design of our ACCLAIM-1 trial. This is the one with Tagrisso. Just to hit the high points, it's targeting, again, patients who have received Tagrisso and seen their tumors progress, which almost 100% of them will. And we're combining our gene therapy with Tagrisso and treating those patients who see their tumors progress and comparing the result with a group of patients who continue on Tagrisso. So what we have to beat is the performance of those who continue on Tagrisso versus those who receive our drug combination. We're targeting about 92 patients, some in the, I think 18 in the phase 1 portion, 74 in the phase 2 portion. And again, the bar that we have to clear is to see an improvement over those who continue on Tagrisso. And this was the clinical trial design set forth in our FDA Fast Track designation. Thus, the FDA has already looked at this and agrees that this is the population we should be targeting. Next slide. This is more details on the ACCLAIM-1 trial. This is in our deck on the web page. I'm going to skip it in the interest of time. Keep going. Again, as I mentioned, we're showing our drug REQORSA shows synergy with immunotherapies. Next slide. Importantly, it also shows synergy with the combination of immunotherapy and chemotherapy. This is important because many patients who receive Keytruda also receive a chemotherapy. Thus, if we can show an improvement over that combination, then we can cover virtually all patients, late-stage cancer patients who would receive Keytruda. And if we could be successful on only one of these drug combinations, either Tagrisso or Keytruda, it would be a home run. We would be able to participate in these multi-billion-dollar markets. I believe we'll be successful with both of them. And when we are, we'll be able to treat a large majority of late-stage lung cancer patients and participate in the markets of both Keytruda and Tagrisso. Next slide. And recently, our researchers presented a presentation at the AACR. This was, I think, April 10 of this year, showing a rationale for our gene therapy plus Keytruda to be used first line in lung cancer. Of course, first line is the holy grail. That's the first patients that receive a therapeutic, and that's the largest market. So our researchers explained, they described the rationale for why our gene therapy should be eligible for a first line treatment. Next slide. This is our ACCLAIM-2 trial with Keytruda. Again, it's combining our gene therapy with Keytruda, in this case, comparing it to chemotherapy, which is the alternative for patients who become resistant to Keytruda. And again, eventually, most patients do become resistant to Keytruda. So most patients who go on to Keytruda are going to need an option. And right now, the standard of care is chemotherapy for them. And we hope to supplement that or replace that standard of care with our gene therapy plus Keytruda.
We are at time, Rodney, so final remarks, please.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much for listening. I appreciate your time. And again, I commend you to look at our webpage if you have further interest. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Rodney. Genprex.com is up on the screen, ticker GNPX. Rodney, thanks so much for being with us today, and have a great weekend, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And you have a good weekend as well.
Thank you.